babahunya marunda town council hasanyuka bar and lodge ekandi kuruga kya kabiri kya kasatu kya kana kya katanu kya mukaga hamuna kya sande baba karuguza ha office zabwe nkuru ha muhanda gwa kikada waruga ha stand big bank hakona house ne kyapa kibahoja kwa no kirora genda bugenda akasenti ko gule mibazi niko bakwijanja bokire abukumanye bikiraho baza nabo ha 078 mukaga 13 04 00 na 0740 kenda na 5 10 23 yanshi together we share.
For how Chinese bantu baingi muno ohulira kyansimba hano nkwata hamugongo ekifuba kikuremera oburumi munyingo mu baitu hati wekwata ba for how Chinese bano ni bayijanja banokira kimo ebirwaire no biraga nenkoro yawe yekikugu baine byoma ebya meridian therapy nibikonyera okwigula ebinywa kutereza migongo alinya bakusasa nibakumara mu busasi bona bwino munyingo hati nywa bakuzimbe bigere mugende mubayikire nibakora handweleza maiso nibajanja basukali harusazi okwetaga kusara size okendezo munyeto gwine oine kizibu kyo kusanyarara hamuna inywa bateirwe stroke niba batereza ni mugaruka okurungi muno aba for how Chinese hano mukaruguza basange amuhanda gwa kizizi ogugenda vision hakiomba ko kiyakona house hayi chundiro lya magiteri yaka opposite Millennium Guest House rundi baterera namba ze simu 0 kinana na mnana msanju na msanju asatu na mnana na 0 mwenda nkaga na ibiri kinana na isatu anna nemu for how Chinese hamuno bwijanja byo burungi.
Esaha zikire msanje zeihangwe ohulirize Kdr 10 fama akaire kanu nikakuleterwa
MTN Voice Bundles ezikutera network zona habei dondolo migasita 10 ibiri mu hash rundo yekonyeza my MTN app okome mu daily bundle habo kuba butukuba zaitwena titukwemerezebwa. MTN Uganda Limited nerolerwa Uganda Communications Commission.
A very good afternoon. It is exactly 1 p.m. My name is Deo Asiimwe. Now, the afternoon bulletin in detail. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has urged the National Resistance Movement interim leaders to steer clear of internal divisions and backstabbing, stressing the importance of unity and support within the party. This was at the Thanksgiving ceremony for Fiona Nyamutoro, the Minister of State for Energy and Mineral Development and National Youth Representative, last Saturday at Nebi Secondary School to celebrate her new ministerial position. Museveni highlighted the importance of fostering a collaborative environment that encourages talent and commitment while avoiding the pitfalls of favoritism and conflict. He used Nyamutoro's rise as a case in point to stress the importance of recognizing and nurturing talent within the party. President Museveni went on to emphasize the need for senior NRM leaders to avoid favoritism and internal conflicts, which can undermine the party's unity and effectiveness. President Museveni urges the leaders to cultivate a culture of support and encouragement rather than discouragement driven by personal biases. This approach, he argues, will minimize friction within the party and ensure that even those who do not advance through the primaries do not feel disenfranchised, knowing that the decisions were made by the voters. 4 suspects, including a senior 6 student, have been arrested in connection with the alleged theft of building materials from Restoration Gateway Hospital in Bedmont Village, Karuma Town Council in Kiriandongo District. The head of security at Restoration Gateway Hospital, Lawrence Opio, has confirmed the development identifying the suspects as Justin Katuseje, 23, a resident of Teyago Village, Tom Shadik, 29, a resident of Dima, Cosmas Lenga, 21, a boda rider of Teyago Stage, and Francis Jawia, 22, a senior 6 student of the Ark of Righteousness, ACS. Restoration Gateway is a Christian community founded by Dr. Tim McCall and Janice Moore McCall to serve Ugandan orphans by providing them with a caring home and education. OPS says the two motorcycles registration number UDX 094-C and UFX 314-C that were used by the suspects to ferry the stolen property have been impounded. He reveals that they discovered that the suspects connived with the student to steal the items, adding that they were caught red-handed with the stolen building materials. The suspects have been handed over to the police in Karuma for further investigation. A police officer who spoke to our journalists on condition of anonymity says that after the investigations, the culprits will be brought before court and charged with offences related to criminal trespass and theft. Away from that, the government has resumed desilting of River Nyamwamba, a critical development of the river banks to protect against flooding. A previous attempt to desilt the river that gets much of its water from the ice melting from the Rwenzori Mountains failed due to rising water volumes. Initially, over 17 billion shillings were invested in constructing gabions to safeguard the river banks, but the structures were quickly overwhelmed by the increasing water levels. But now Ambitious Company Limited believes the contract it has taken will settle the problem. Since 2013, Kasese has been plagued by flash floods, particularly affecting River Nyamwamba, and the floods have resulted in significant damage of infrastructure, crops, and have claimed lives. In response, the government initiated a comprehensive project in 2022 to restore the river banks, investing over 30 billion shillings from the World Bank. Despite these efforts, some of the newly installed measures were destroyed before the project could be even officially completed. The restoration work has now resumed with the revised approach focusing on using concrete gabions instead of wire mesh in hopes of creating a more durable solution. Richard Bomera, the chairperson of the Nyamwamba Catchment Management Committee, has expressed optimism about the new design, saying that the concrete gabions will provide better protection compared to the previous wire mesh structures. However, Kambale Ferigo, the Member of Parliament for Kasese Municipality, advocates for a more comprehensive solution, proposing clearing the entire 21-kilometer stretch of the river bank rather than just addressing the high-risk areas. Now, putting that story aside, thousands of refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo have crossed into Uganda following the fighting between government forces and various armed groups in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Major Kichoncho Tabaro, the public relations officer for the UPDF 2nd Infantry Division, says that over 2,000 Congolese refugees have arrived in the past 72 hours from areas including Katuiguru, Kiwanja, Binza, Kisegura, Kiringa, Masisi, Bwenza, Walungu, and Rushuru. Major Tabaro notes that the civilians in the areas near the Ugandan border, especially the elderly, the sick, pregnant women and children, are particularly vulnerable to attacks, hunger, displacement, and loss of culture values as the conflict continues. As the fighting persists, refugees have been crossing through porous borders into Uganda with entry points at Bunagana and Nteko in Kisoro. Kieshero and Ishosha in Kanungu and other small ungazetted routes. He notes that the Office of the Prime Minister is collaborating with all stakeholders at the border to ensure that Congolese civilians fleeing insecurity are handled according to the international law. Meanwhile, Major Tabaro has further revealed that 98 armed Congolese police officers were also received at the Ishasha border post last Saturday evening and are being processed according to the international law guidelines. He urges the community leaders and civilians at the borders to remain vigilant as the negative elements like the Allied Democratic Forces ADF which have been attempting to return to Uganda after their camps were destroyed in DRC may exploit the situation.
You are still listening to KDR News Broadcast. This is the news on the international scene.
Now, for the news on the international scene, Mali says it has cut diplomatic relations with Ukraine after military officials suggested that Kiev played a role in deadly fighting near the Algerian border last month. Dozens of Malian soldiers and machineries from Russia's Wagner group were killed in days of clashes with Tuareg separatist rebels and fighters linked to Al-Qaeda. Andrei Yusov, a spokesman for the Ukrainian military intelligence, said last week that the rebels had been given the necessary information to conduct the attacks. A top Malian official, Colonel Abdoulaye Maiga, says his government is shocked to hear the claims and have decided to break relations with the Ukraine with immediate effect. Last week, Mali army admitted it suffered significant losses during several days of fighting earlier that erupted on 25th of last month. The early night is 10 minutes past 1 p.m. As I wind up the newscast, take a quick look on the top stories once more. President Museveni tells NRM leaders to avoid backstabbing. 4 suspects arrested for theft at Karuma Hospital in Kiryandongo. Government resumes efforts to protect Nyamwamba river banks in Kasese, and Mali cuts diplomatic ties with Ukraine over Wagner ambush claims. That's it. My name is Deo Asiimwe. I wish you the best of your lunch, and please, I wish you a happy week.